Labeling and Self-Esteem, Their Influence in Students' Academic Success. A research proposal by Claudia Ragsdale. Overview. This proposal will be presented in the following order: definition of the terms, introduction and research question, literature review, data collection plan, plan of analysis, ethic, limitation of the study, conclusion, and reference page. Definition of the terms. Gifted. Children are gifted when their ability is significantly above the norm for their age. Special education is a practice of educating students in a way that addresses their individual differences and special needs. Learning disability is a disorder in one or more basic psychological processes that may manifest itself as an imperfect ability in certain areas of learning, such as reading, written expression, or mathematics. Self-esteem is an individual's subject evaluation of their own worth. Introduction and research question. There is a lot of research that study the relationship between self-esteem and academic success. Something common these studies share is that our emotions are linked to our self-esteem. Praise generally produces happiness and a sense of self-worth. In contrast, criticism, especially destructive or negative criticism, tends to produce a sense of contempt. Labels can also trigger several emotions in human beings. They can be positively or negatively affected by a label, which in consequence could affect their self-esteem. The objectives of this research is to find a relationship between what is considered a positive or negative label. In this case, the label of gifted or ESC student. Our research question is, does the labeling of students affect their mindset and approach towards school? Literature review. Self-esteem. Self-esteem has been widely associated with labeling, especially for children with disabilities. The concept of self-esteem can be around negative or positive comments, and it varies from a person to another. In early childhood, children tend to show and label themselves incredibly positively. This behavior tends to decline with age, prominently in middle age. An individual with more solid self-esteem has better chances of leading and handling stressful situations along with academic work. Labeling. Labeling children can affect their self-esteem in a negative manner, where they begin to give up on their educational development and commitments. In contrast, researchers have shown that students who possess better self-esteem present greater chances of achieving academic success. The students who have a problem in reading have shown improvement when they were aided by the teachers and not labeled by the people they depended on. Data collection plan. The intended sample consists of 40 students randomly selected. The following table shows how the sample will be divided into. The method of selection for this research will be a simple random sampling where each student has the same chance of being selected. The students' ID numbers will be entered in a table of random numbers. And finally, selected 40 students. Plan of analysis. I will apply a content analysis technique. Observations and interviews are the two methods this research will use to collect the data. I will prepare and organize the data collected, including notes, transcripts, grades, or any other relevant materials. After examining the data, the next step is to formulate coding categories. Some of the coding categories for this study could be emotional characteristics, subject area, type of assignments, and peer pressure. The tables on the right show an example of how the coding category tables would look like. Ethics. The study is focused on children. Therefore, it is very important to avoid any unethical practice. Observations and interview will be used to take the data. The observations will not cause any physical or psychological harm to the students. The students will not be coerced into participating in this research. The school, teachers, and parents will be informed of the study and asked for their consent. Finally, all the information regarding parents, students, teachers, and administrators will be confidential and only used for the purpose of this research. Limitations of the study. One of the possible limitations of the research is a lack of ethnic diversity. The school is a Title I school composed of mostly low-income children. This factor could also become a weakness of this study. There are some threats of internal validity. One is the loss of subjects, especially working with children. Many of the students miss classes and some could drop out of the study. Data collector bias is my major concern. For this reason, all procedures will be standardized. Conclusion. The primary assumption that could be drawn from this study is that gifted students have a higher self-esteem than ESC students. Hence, these gifted students will perform better. There is also an implication that gifted students could cope with mistakes, disappointment, and failure in a more efficient way, and without affecting their self-esteem. Finally, teachers tend to motivate students by praising their achievement and positive traits. The action of continually listening to praise and positive comments supports self-esteem. In contrast, the lack of this action could be detrimental to the student's self-esteem. If the students have a higher academic performance than ESC students, therefore, they will hear praise and positive comments more often than ESC students. This study could prove the implications of praise, self-esteem, and academic success.